Hi, I'm Jana, and today me and Alexa will be solving 5 SAT-styled circle questions. And so it's also important to add that the difficulty level of these 5 circle questions are all going to range between medium and hard. And this is because solving these problems involves background knowledge of triangles, and it's also going to consist of taking a few steps in order to find the solution.
Our problem is a circle problem with a square inscribed in it. And here it says a square is inscribed in a circle. The radius of the circle is 20 square root 2 over 2 inches. What is the side length in inches of the square? And our answer choices are 20 square root 2 over 2, 20 square root 2, and 40. Right now we're going to draw the diagram of the circle and the square just so we can visualize the problem more, and you should do that with every single circle problem that you encounter. So here we have our square, and right here in the middle this is a radius, 20 square root 2 over 2. And this is also 20 square root 2 over 2. But to get the diameter, we need to get d equals radius times 2. So we can do 20 square root 2 over 2 times 2, which cancels that out. So the diameter equals 20 square root 2. So two of the side lengths are 20 square root 2. So both of our sides are 20 square root 2, and 20 equals one side, and then the square root equals the second side. So if we cancel this out, 20 equals the side length. So let's look at our answer choices. We have 20. Okay, that could be it. We have 20 square root 2 over 2. I don't think that one's it. So let's cross that one out. We have 20 square root 2. You know, it's not working. And we have 40. 40 you can get from a miscalculation of multiplying it by 2 times instead of one side. But honestly, looking at this, we got 20. So it's not going to be that. And that leaves us with answer choice A, which is 20. I use this not using Desmos, and for circle problems, Desmos isn't really the solution, but some tips and tricks that you can remember is the 45, 45, 90 square, triangle, which helps us solve problems easier, which is how I got this, because, there's always Pythagorean theorem, which can help you achieve this problem for when there's squares inscribed. And just remember your simple data. And there you go, that's how you get the answer. So in the figure below, what is the value of x? And here is a circle with an isosceles triangle inside of it. So we know one angle, and that is 72. But we know that this whole triangle is going to equal to 180. Okay, these two angles are alike. So that means that 72 plus these two angles are going to equal 180. So we can see how it's going to be done. Okay, we can do 72 plus 2x equals 180. Now 72 is this angle right here, and the 2 x's are from right here, and the 180 are all the angles. So if we subtract 72 from both, 2x equals, let's do some, it is 108. Yeah, okay, so 2x equals 108, and you need to divide that by 2 to get x. And seeing this, you can get 50 from 100, and then plus 4, that is 54. So our x equals 54. Now let's go through our other choices. Choice A is 54. Okay, we can think about that. Choice B, 45. If you do the same thing, 72 plus 2x. Wait. Yeah, it's not going to equal 45. It is going to equal 54. And if you do that for all of these questions, because 72 plus 120 60 times 2 does not equal 180. So it can't be 60. 72 plus, what is it? 72. 180? It doesn't. That's 14. I don't know what it is, but it's not that. So it can't be 36. So that leaves us with our only answer choice, A, 54. Now the difficulty of this question is a medium, right here. And how I found it was knowing the one angle and knowing that these two angles were congruent to each other, which made it all knowing. And you know how it's an isosceles triangle, that equals 180. So 72 plus 2x equals 180. And we did our math, and that equals 54. You don't have to use Desmos on this. What more so you can use for like these tips and tricks is just knowing the angle and knowing how to use this properly. Thank you. This question is a difficulty level of medium because, as my good friend Jana said, all circle questions are medium because they involve knowing some or geometry. Okay, so if line L, this line L, let's label it right now, is tangent to circle O at point P, if B is a point on a line L such as PB equals 8 and if OB equals 10, what is the radius of this circle? And this is a free response question, so we have no multiple choice. Now, the question is worded a little bit weirdly, but if you draw the diagram, you can tell where everything is going to go. And so we see here that one of the angles is 8, or one of the sides is 8, the other is 10, and we don't know the other one. Now, because it is perpendicular, line L is perpendicular to this triangle, this is a 90-degree angle, which means that we can do Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we have the hypotenuse, but we need one of the legs. So that is going to be line OP plus, and one of the legs is 8, so that is going to be 8 squared equals 10 squared, the hypotenuse. So 8 squared is 64, and 10 squared equals 100. So OP plus 64, and we subtract this. 64 minus 64, 100 minus 60 is 40, minus 4, that is 36. So line OP equals 36. But wait, there's more. You need to square root it to get the real answer. So OP equals 6. Okay, and that does make sense right here because the sides have to be shorter than the hypotenuse. So you can't really use Desmos on these type of questions since they're free response and you can't really input something in it. But more or so, just remember your Pythagorean theorem. Remember how perpendicular helps the triangles. Perpendicular, it creates a little right angle right here, right there. So just remember your Pythagorean theorem, and you should be able to answer this question with such difficulty. Try not to read the question too much. Everything in the question is important, but don't focus more on the wording, but more on the diagram. Because when you get geometry questions like this, like that involve circles, the best thing to do is just draw it. And, you know, drawing it, we get our answer of 6. So that is what we got.
The graph of the given equation is a circle in the xy plane. The point AB lies on the circle. Which of the following is a possible value for A? And the equation given to us is x plus 4 squared plus y minus 19 squared equals 121. And so I know that because this is a circle, it follows the circle formula, which is h minus k squared plus y minus k squared equals radius times 2. And so we're trying to find the value of A for the point that lies on this circle. So that means that value of A is going to have to satisfy the equation that it was given us. The way I'm going to look for this is by looking at my answer choices and I'm going to go ahead and plug them into x plus 4 squared. So negative 16, I'm going to put that into x. Negative 16 plus 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 squared is 144. So if the value of that is larger than what we have over here, I know that it is not going to satisfy the equation. Negative 16 is not going to be the value for A because it does not satisfy the equation. So let's try B. Negative 14 plus 4 squared. That gives us 100. I know 100 is less than 121, so we can consider that. 11 plus 4, that's 15. 15 squared, I know 15 squared is going to be bigger than 121 because 121, which is also r squared, is 11. And 15 is greater than 11. So that can't be it. 19 plus 4 is 23 squared. 23 squared is also going to be greater than 11 squared. So D is not correct. And so that leaves us with B, because B is the only one that satisfied our equation. So they give us a circle has center C with coordinates HK. And they also tell us that points A and B lie on the circle. So I know that this is a circle problem, and I know that points A and B are going to be on the side of the circle, and we're going to have a center C. I also know the coordinates for point A, but I don't know the coordinates for point B. And I also know that angle C is a right angle, which means that there's going to be a triangle in our circle. But what we're really focused on is finding the length of AB. So let's start by drawing this. And so here's our center C. And so since I know that this is a right triangle, because it told me that angle C is a right angle, I know that A is going to be right here, and B is going to be up here. And this is the side we're trying to find. AC and BC are both the radius of the circle. They're the radii. And I know that all radii are congruent, which means that AC is equal to BC. And so this is going to help us while trying to solve our side length. Okay, so since I was only given the coordinates for A and C, I'm going to focus on this side length right now because it's going to help me find BC. HK and H plus 1, K plus square root of 102. So to solve from A to C, we're going to use the distance formula. So let me write that out. Okay, so here's our distance formula. And so we're going to plug in the points for A and C into our distance formula to find AC, the side length. So since we're going from A to C, this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, and this is y2. So now I'm going to try and simplify this problem. So h plus 1 minus h. I know that h minus h equals 0. So on the left side, we just have 1. Here we have k minus k. And so the same thing goes here. I know that these will cancel each other out. And so that's going to leave us with the square root of 102 squared. Since 102 is under a square root, these are going to cancel each other out. And so now this equation will read as 1 plus 102, which is going to be the square root of 103. So 103 is AC. And we also know, because AC and BC are congruent, the square root of 103 is also going to be the length of BC. Okay, so now we want to try to find AB. And we already have the other two side lengths. So to find the hypotenuse, we're going to use 45, 45, 90. And so this states that the hypotenuse is the 90 angle. It's across from the right angle. And this is the square root of 2 times side. The square root of 103, so this is our side, times the square root of 2. And so 103 times 2 is going to give us 206. So that means that this is going to give us the square root of 206. And so even after solving for the distance formula, we could have came here and we could have said that option B is incorrect because we got the square root of 103, not 102. So B is wrong. I would have been a little skeptical about C and D just because we got 103 in the square root, and C and D are showing 103 outside of the square root. I'm also not really sure where we would get 3 from. 2 kind of makes sense, so I would have been able to eliminate this. And since we know that AB is 206, I can go ahead and circle A and cross out C.